Hi, my name is Farida, and I talk to Black women about living a life of ease through remote work and travel. Today, I have with me the amazing Dee of H&D Abroad. Dee, I met Dee during my Barbados tour, and from the moment we connected, I knew she was on a powerful journey, one that so many women dream of, but few have the courage to pursue. Dee, along with her husband Herman, are intentionally carving out a new chapter of life as aspiring expats. Through her YouTube channel, she shares the ups, downs, and real talk of the moving abroad process. Her content isn't just about logistics, it's about searching for belonging, navigating transitions with love and curiosity, and finding a place that truly feels like home. Welcome, Jay. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm so excited to talk to you again.
Absolutely. This is such a special space, Farida, that you've created.
Oh,
And I want to say thank you for the work that you're doing. I'm taking notes
thank
and
you.
making applications to some places I never would have considered. But when you said you wanted to interview me, I thought it was curious because I have so much to learn from you. But that is what the sisterhood is.
Absolutely. That is the sisterhood. And from Barbados, we immediately had this connection. We're both introverts, we're both curious, we're both looking for alternatives to live an easier, softer life. So, this is so exciting. I am just really happy we're getting a time to reconnect and get into the nitty gritty because I'm always so curious about what you and Herman are doing. Oh, yeah. So my first question is tell me what sparked your desire to move abroad and to start your channel.
Let's see. So many of us kind of come at this process from two perspective. Either you've always wanted to do it; it's something that's always been on the horizon because you are well traveled, or you happen upon the community of people who are saying this is a solution for me. And I think for me, I think my journey is a combination of the two. So when I was very young, when I say very young, I'm saying high school, because as I'm over 50, I consider, being a teen pretty young. But, you know, um, I had the opportunity to travel. Um, and because my parents did not have the travel bug, I won't say didn't really, that they really didn't feel that the world was safe, and kind of maybe didn't say it directly, but implied it indirectly. Um, it was a disappointment that I couldn't act on what all of the books and all of the things that I read about people in other places. So
Yes.
there was always that curiosity, but not knowing how to execute. And so in 2011, I read a statistic that talked about the very small number of African Americans that did not have a passport. And I am a part of a family that's always been a part of the civil rights movement. We've just been, kind of not afraid to be the first in
Absolutely.
certain situations. And I was like, this is an opportunity. Even if I don't have the means or the knowledge, I can at least give myself the access. So my
Mm,
husband and I got our passports in 2011 and never went on an international trip. But I think
interesting.
that, for a lot of people, um, it was a financial hurdle we had to cross.
Mm,
I mean, when
absolutely.
you're looking at 100, the passport and passport card, for around $160, and considering that in 2011 we were, our backs were kind of against the wall financially, to invest in two passports was a huge
Mhm.
um, step forward toward our dream at $10 or $20 a pay period. And then
Absolutely.
my husband, even when we were dating, I'd always talked about I'd love to live abroad. I've never been abroad, but just what I knew it could give around language and other things, that was kind of my motivation. Is I always wanted to and wanted to be ready if the opportunity presented itself. So I thought you had to go with having an employer invite you. Um,
Mm,
that this is pre YouTube, y'all. So, early internet people,
yes.
where people
Yes.
weren't really sharing their life stories. And so, what was happening was with with my best friend, my husband, continuing to say, once we had our children, that I wanted to raise my children abroad. It became more urgent, but there were very few breadcrumbs to tell me how to do
Mm,
it. And so, what actually made the difference for us was he never mocked my dream, he never was a barrier. He just kind of said, okay. So, I
mm,
think he allowed me to continue to dream to because he knows I'm a researcher. I'm going to figure it out. And then as time went on, I kept digging, I kept listening, I kept, looking for how were people doing it if you weren't rich and you didn't have an employer. Because, I tried Habitat for Humanity, I tried
mm.
CDC, I tried, because that was my background. I thought,
Absolutely.
community development could be a path out, and it wasn't. And so our kids got older. We homeschooled. I thought, okay, so really, we're really at a point where we
Yes.
could leave if work would just work out. And it didn't. And so, what there were two things I think that moved us from the desire to actually, like, maybe not setting a countdown, but putting real things in motion. And that was coming to the pandemic. Um,
Mm,
in one
yes.
year, my husband
2020
had,
did a lot. Hmm.
yes, my husband had um, a major health crisis in
Mm,
2020, a week before the world shut down.
wow.
And then 3 months later, I lost my father.
Mm,
And
that is a lot.
yeah, yeah. Emotionally, physically, it was a huge, I mean, all of that time was just everybody was putting the brakes because they had to on life and the way that things were. I think it
Absolutely.
was the interruption that we needed. And then um, I had been watching YouTube for other things,
Hmm.
motivation for paying off debt. I mean, just looking at travel. But I think as you put into the universe your desires, when the time is right, things will begin to align. And so I decided the biggest thing for us to cross was to pay off debt. Um,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then as we paid off the debt, the dream could really take root. And
Absolutely. And that's
we
what I love
did,
about your channel because, you see all of these channels where people are moving abroad in a month, don't really have a plan and they're doing it. And sometimes you can get caught up in the feeling of I'm going too slow and it's not coming together like everyone else's path. And just watching you and Herman, it's like everybody's pace is their pace, and a more steady pace, a more thoughtful pace. We both have adult children. We both have, legitimate concerns and plans that what we want to put in place before we make the move. And that's okay too. So that's what I really appreciate about you too.
My laptop is about to lose
Oh,
power. Hold on just a second.
yes, absolutely. Take your time. So, yes, as I was saying, watching their channel, you feel like I can make the move on my terms. I can do slow travel. I can be a snowbird. I can do long-term travel. I can make a permanent move. I can date countries. I can take my time. So, I really love that about your channel. hmm So, my next question is, have you ever worked remotely? And if so, how do you feel about remote work as you work towards your goal of moving abroad?
Yeah, so I had not, let's see. So there are two concepts of remote work.
hmm
Thought it was really funny. I was like, how could you're either working at home or you're not. And what I have found from the job descriptions is that there is work from home, and then there is working outside of the office. And so I had worked outside of the office doing community outreach for probably the first 10 years of our marriage. So I would go into the office for meetings, to do my documentation. But most of the time I was in the field doing, health education, um, programming. And so, kind of being up and mobile and not tied to a desk, that gave me my first taste. And then this job that I have now, that I've been at 9 years, we kind of do a hybrid. So we were in the office for most of the days of the week, and then we could work from home a couple of days. And then the pandemic um, made the requirement to be home. And then with the because I work for corporate, we were not going back into the office. And so working remote became a long-term opportunity, not because I had the right, you know, background or career type. It was just kind of a series of opportunities that expanded. And I'm hoping that more people will think about that, um,
Absolutely.
you know, your productivity, as long as you can show that your productivity can stay high, that there may be a possibility of working with your manager or with HR or HR to allow you to work part-time from home, and then to see if the opportunity can expand. But there are a lot of, what do you call that, things to navigate. Can I
Oh,
work
yes.
remote in the country? Can I work remote out of the country? There are a lot of
hmm
things to navigate, and a lot of things that I have cautioned people. Don't be secretive.
Yeah, no
Don't
funny
be secretive.
business. They will find out. Just do it the
Yes.
right way, and talk to your employer. If there are tax implications, they will let you know. And if it's okay, they will let you know. But definitely no funny business. I agree. I agree. You and your VPN will be looking like, that astronomer CEO that got busted the other day.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I've been following your channel. I've been looking at, your discussion on Ecuador and the feelings you felt there. And of course, our trip to Barbados and how you loved it and how you felt there. So I was curious. I know you're still dating countries and you're still exploring, but what are your top three countries so far and why?
Wow. Um, let's see. So one of the things that we wanted to do early on, so in 2022, Yeah, 2022, we took our first international trip, and it was not for a vacation. It was actually to get residency. The visa process in 2022 was very straightforward for Mexico, and we felt that we could secure our first, opportunity. And we love Mexico. Love many, 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 many different cities there, and still have more exploring to do. But Mexico has a huge place in our hearts. As we look at the realities, many of the realities of moving abroad, um, the places that we love have to have certain features. And so easy, easy access to and from the US. We've decided not to go more than 6 hour, a 6 or 7 hour flight at the most.
Mm-hmm.
So
That
I,
kind of eliminates Southeast Asia right off the bat. Yeah.
even though that was where I thought I wanted to go initially, and I just felt like to ease our kids in, to ease myself in, I
Mhm.
think to just get used to living abroad was the most important thing for us. And then with remote work, there was a high consideration that I would have US clients. And so I just
Mhm.
felt like at least initially, trying to figure out living outside the country, I just didn't want to place a huge time zone demand on my body where I
Oh,
would
yeah.
have to work, super late at night or super early in the morning to be aligned with, Eastern Standard Time. So staying between Central South America to Europe, maybe even the west coast of Africa really
Mm.
could align. So
Mhm.
it's kind of shrunk, which is good. So
Yes.
Spain has my heart, has my
Oh,
heart in
wow.
particular.
Okay. Spain.
Um, and and it's because I have family in
Mhm.
Germany. It would, I mean, the flights and things in Europe are very, very simple.
Yes.
But what Spain did not have, with the finances that we currently have, and the way that we want to be able to live abroad, we need to work.
Mhm.
Just that right now, the digital nomad visa is a little too far into my future because I don't have work that I know that I can prove that will
Yes.
consistently give me
Yes.
that money. And so we had to look elsewhere. Where could we live and work without um, without incurring an additional tax debt or requirement? But also the cost of living was low. And so that's why Ecuador is at the top of our list as well. We have friends that live in Manta, Cuenca. Our friends that lived in Quito have moved to Durham.
Oh, they
It is
left.
also high
Mhm.
elevation, so high
Mhm.
altitude. So some of the choices were really good on paper, um, and then we've had to go and see, okay, how does it really fit? And so I
Mhm.
know I've got some health work to do to really be able to handle long term the altitude of Cuenca, the cold, also the
Mm.
cooler weather, which I guess when you're in perimenopause, and I've been completely
Yeah, that
transparent
could be a blessing. That
I
could be
was
a blessing in disguise.
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
knowing that I found a place, and then also South America, Colombia has just
Mhm.
it, when we did our visit there after Ecuador, we went to Medellin. Cost of living, the city, the warmth of the people. I mean, it just the
Really?
Black expat community in general. Just
Mhm.
there's a lot of beautiful things happening there, and so I kind of say South America as a
Yes.
second.
Yes.
And then probably the third is I Mexico was the first time that I got to experience what the what a benefit the expat community and the Black expat community, um, why they help create a soft landing. And
Mm.
so we also spent a little bit of time in Panama. We're going back again this fall.
Oh, what
And so
exciting.
even though it's a lot warmer than I would prefer, because I'm in the South and
Mhm. Mhm.
heat and humidity, you know, is I was
Exactly.
hoping to kind of move out of that by moving out of the
Yes.
country, but they have such a strong, um, vibrant, loving community that's embraced us virtually. And
Mm.
then when we were on the ground, we got to have a meetup with other couples. And so Panama's kind of
That
wedged
sounds
its way
was
in
that
there
the
too.
expat community as well, Dee, or was that the local community in Panama, or both?
Both,
Oh,
both,
wow.
both.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Panama.
it's I think what I have found is that I could probably fit anywhere. Like
Mm.
I can find a way to adjust, but there are some things that rise to the top. And being able
Absolutely.
to consistently work remote where I don't have issues with internet because my
Mhm.
husband and I are in our 50s, we're going to work probably into our early to mid 60s at
Absolutely.
some level. And so having a consistent internet access, that there is either a digital nomad visa, or if you make your money outside of the country, then you're not incurring an additional tax debt. Those things have risen to the top of more than just pretty things, nice
Yes.
people.
Nice
Like
beaches.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. That have made a bigger difference in making the choice, but then also realizing most of the countries that I just mentioned, 3 months, 6 months, 90 days with a renewal, six
Mhm.
continuous months. Most of those countries, and I can, you know, as long as I secure my work, those are places that I could spend a significant amount of time and
There you
kind of
go.
figure
Mhm.
it out. And
Mhm.
those of us who also fight with type A, where
Mhm.
I want a defined plan, I want to, I get a target and I execute. Um, the move abroad process has required that I be a little bit more flexible. Living
Absolutely.
in other places has required me to, that hurry up mentality, that fast pace, that it's okay. Um,
Mhm.
and that either you will embrace it or it will become an additional frustration because
Oh, for
you're not
sure.
going to change them.
Mhm.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
They are who they are, and we are who we are. And we roll with it. Absolutely. And for me, like I'm looking into, just slow travel. You mentioned these 90-day stays, 6-month stays in many of the countries. And, it makes you realize, okay, I don't have to necessarily move my home base out of the US, but maybe I can have longer stays overseas, come back, be with my kids, be with my grandbaby, and then jump right back into, staying in Mexico or staying in Malaysia or, staying in, Barbados for the amount of time that I'm allotted. So, have you ever thought of slow travel, or I know sometimes they call it snowbirding? Has that ever been something that you've considered? And if you decided to really do the permanent move, what are the advantages and the disadvantages?
Yeah. So, going and coming, where we say maybe we spend 3 to 6 months out of the country, either in small increments or a long one. I had to get used to that. I don't know what happens on this journey if you are intentional to taking in information is I was like, oh, you mean there's more than one way to do this? You don't have to sell everything, leave with 2 suitcases and a backpack, and go. Some of us are not ready to let go of our home, and so going for a few months and having a house sitter or a family member or someone to come and check on the house
Hmm.
while you're away is a compromise because you don't have to solve everything, which means you can do a good bit of the cleanup, cleaning out, getting rid of things, and then go
Yes.
spend some time abroad and then come back and do a little bit
Do a little
more.
bit more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wait till
Hmm.
the housing market looks better. So I heard the term flexpat and love
Yes.
it.
I love that. I love FlexPat. Yes.
So
Mhm.
it does have advantages because you can try on a few places for a longer period of time without really having to, there's some big financials when you're going to invest in a residency visa,
Right.
that gives
Mhm.
you more time in that country, or has more requirements. Ecuador, if we were going to get the temporary residency visa, um, you can come in and out of the country, but we want it to lead to a permanent residency,
Right.
which
Right.
means we would need to stay there at least 21 out of the 24 months. So it's
Oh,
not as it is an option, but not at the point where we are. We kind of want to spend time in a few places, spend 3 months or 6 months in a place, and so
absolutely.
um,
Mhm.
that I just having a residency was very important because I was like, if we ever leave, I want to have somewhere that is close enough, but we're still abroad. And so
Absolutely.
that's why Mexico was that for us. So I talked a little bit about the advantages of bopping around, as we say,
Yeah.
spending a month or 3 months or 6 months, but the cost, the monthly costs are a bit higher because you're
Mhm.
going to be stay hotel stays are going to be the most expensive option.
Absolutely.
Airbnb is going to be a little less expensive, but having a longer term, signing a 1 year lease is going to usually give you the most financially, um, what do you call that? You're going to have your lowest monthly cost and static
Mhm.
cost
Mhm.
by doing a 1 year lease. So that's why places like Thailand are super, and Ecuador and some other places that are not necessarily in the big tourist type cities is if my rent, I get a 1 year lease and my rent is $350, which
Oof,
son,
girl.
son,
Girl, you
the
speaking my
legacy,
language now.
that was her rent
Mhm.
every month in
Wow.
Chiang Mai. She
Mhm.
said I could go away for a month and
Mhm.
still pay the rent of my condo because $350 doesn't hit my budget as hard as a $900
Yes, yes.
apartment that I'm choosing to leave, or $1,200 a month apartment. And
Mhm.
so the longer term, um, having that is why we're kind of saying, well, maybe we budget for bopping around for a little while, but the decision is going to probably need to be made within the first year or two of, where do
Right.
we want to put down roots for a time? And that is the last piece, Farida, is that
Hmm.
you can
Hmm.
find a place and stay there for a little while. There's uh, Deborah Samuels lives in Curacao and has been
Mm.
there for a while, and I thought she was always going to be there. And
Right, right.
she's in her 70s, and she said, "Guess what? I'm moving to Thailand." And we were like,
What?
"Are you exactly?"
In
And
her
that's the
70s.
beautiful thing
Wow.
is you can
Hmm.
find a place that's good for you. Invest in the community, feel invested in by that community, and then say, this was for a time, this was for a season,
Hmm.
and that there's a whole world out here to explore, and
Yeah.
that I'm gonna leverage that. I'm gonna take advantage of it.
Absolutely. And that's why when you were talking about Panama, I was so moved because you said community. And above all the beaches and the
Mhm.
mountain ranges and rivers and landscapes, what we're missing the most here in the States is that sense of community. And when I see Black people abroad in Portugal and Mexico, even in Malaysia and Vietnam, just having that sense of community, it's like, I want to be there. I wish I was there. I'm going to the next meetup, because and that was the number one reason why I came on you and Jay's trip to Barbados because I'm searching for that. How does it feel to just have that community feeling? And it's
Mm.
just there's nothing that can replace that. It's just so lovely. Hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
So beautiful. Absolutely. And my last question is about house sitting and hostels. I watched a recent video about your time in a hostel, and it was just something I've done house sitting. I kind of have the flow of that, but how does house sitting and staying in hostels help you achieve that dream of finding that location and making it a reality, financially as well as, psychologically as well?
Absolutely. Okay, so it all takes some getting used to.
Mm,
I'm an older woman. I like my things,
same.
and you get used to when you travel, staying in a hotel. You kind of get used to the service, and you know, and it's something to say I'm going to stay in someone's home, or I'm going to stay with a lot of other people. Like that takes a little bit of expanding your comfort zone. So, just to kind of do a quick review of house sitting. So, the way I house sit is I exchange a service for free accommodations. So, usually for families, I'm caring for their gardens, I'm taking in the mail, I'm making sure their plants get watered, or taking care of their pet while they're gone, for a week or two or a few months. There was a family we house sat for, I think it was a total of 5 months last year.
Wow. Wow.
So you can spend various amounts of time, house sitting, but it does expand your your comfort level with, could I be in someone else's space, but
Mm,
make it feel like my own, remembering that I have responsibilities here. There are certain things that they ask me to do or not do, that I
mhm.
have to be respectful of, in their space. It took a little bit of, as you said, you mentioned the hostel video. Took a little bit of convincing for my husband, for hostels, but I think the same approach, because he actually started house sitting with me last year.
Mm,
And so what I said to him was, this is a way for us to travel without the hotel expense. So if we could
yes.
get to a place, I can look for those cheap tickets, or we could drive. We love driving. Um, could we then, lower the cost, and stay for a longer amount of time, but it would give us the chance to be in a new city or a city that we've been in, but that we can experience in a different way. And I
Mm,
think that for me is what, because I'm going to be doing that abroad. I'm going to have to figure out transportation. I'm going to have to
mm-hmm.
figure out, the cadence of a community. What's the trash schedule?
Yes.
Meeting neighbors, which,
The cheapest grocery
the
store,
grocery
where's
store,
the
right?
library, where is the post office, just
The
everything.
library, all of those
Mhm.
things. And so it's
Mhm.
actually given me some skills, the opportunity to practice skills that I get better at, where I don't have to figure out the language, and where,
Mhm.
I can find, my favorite, bagels, or my favorite, teas.
Yes.
They're,
Mhm.
with, I don't have as many barriers, but I'm practicing the skills. And then, um, for me, hostels were just another way to help me to expand my comfort zone. It's There is a cost for hostels,
Mm, mhm.
but it's usually much lower. Probably, I mean, I've seen in some countries very, very low, which can extend your fund. So if I'm not spending a lot of money on my airline tickets and my food cost is low, if I can also greatly lower my housing costs, because most of the time we're just sleeping there, we're not
Mhm.
spending the whole day there. There's that benefit. So, there are vetted hostel networks, international hostel networks. We're helping our son, who's getting ready to go to Japan,
Oh
for
my gosh,
to
exciting.
use, to use hostels, and,
Mhm.
learn how to look at the reviews and vet them. But yeah, and realizing some hostels, I was thinking dorm room, so bunch of bunk
That's
beds,
what I was thinking, but it's
everybody's in a room,
not.
everybody's, sharing bathroom, a
Mhm.
bathroom or two bathrooms, male, female. But some hostels have private spaces, and that's what I got. I think there were
Mhm.
two reasons why hostels made a difference for us. We knew someone who had stayed at that particular hostel, had
Mm.
consistently referred people there that had a good, safe experience. And then, second of all, we were able to get a private room.
I
And so
see.
for my husband, having the private room was really important. He's a light sleeper, just there are several things, and it came with its own bathroom. So,
Mm.
it was just like, okay, so you can say we stayed in a hostel. It was just kind of like an elevated hotel.
Hostel light. Yeah.
Yes, a hostel hotel.
Exactly. But I mean, it was beautiful. I was like, it really opened my eyes
Yes.
for, because sometimes you're looking for sits in different places and you just can't find them. So the hostel option really did open my eyes. So we have a viewer that's saying Ashe and Buenos Dias from Bogota. So you've got a
Hello.
Colombian fan on here, or maybe mutual or friend. So thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Wow.
Well, Dee, it has been a pleasure talking to you. Before you leave, would you like to tell us about what's going on with your channel, upcoming events, or things that we can plug into before we go?
Absolutely. So we've been talking on our channel, about what we need to do to get ready, and
Mhm.
we're getting ready to kick off a series in August, talking about what are the last things that we, need to do. And so we're literally going to take people on the ride.
Oh my God, I am
On
so
the financial ride,
excited.
on the the clearing
Yes.
out the garage ride.
The
Um,
decluttering journey,
yes.
yes.
And so, not as much travel for us past this year, because we are out. We
Mhm,
want to get out.
mhm.
And so, to be able to get out, we're going to have to take advantage of some creative ways to travel. And so we're going to share a little bit more about that this week. And you may or may not know, one of the biggest reasons I am prioritizing moving abroad now is in preparation for menopause.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, being in the throes of perimenopause,
Mm,
I
mhm.
felt the need, the call to have remote work that allows me to work at a schedule that my body,
Yes.
if my body needs rest, then I can structure my work day to give myself that. Or if I need to earn more, then I can spiral up to more. But perimenopause is a huge reason why, and knowing that my symptoms can be, I can't control what symptoms I have, but stress
Mhm.
definitely
Oh
exacerbates.
my God. Absolutely.
And so we're going to
Absolutely.
talk about perimenopause. This is perimenopause week
I'm
on
going
the
to be
channel.
tuning in because I've found myself doing the same thing with my remote work. I've been starting my workday later in the day, maybe 10, maybe 11 a.m. I've been resting. I've been taking more naps. I've been going for walks when I want to walk. And, I've been structuring that workday for when I naturally feel the most productive during the day. So I
Mhm.
love this. I will be tuning in for sure.
Absolutely.
Well,
Thank you so much, sister,
thank
for inviting
you.
to
Thank you,
share.
my dear Dee. I can't wait to like go along this journey with you and see where you guys eventually land. And yeah, I'm just going to be using my friendship privileges to come and see y'all for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much. All right. Bye, everyone. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And please like, comment, subscribe to H&D Abroad if you're not already subscribed. All right. Have a beautiful day. Bye bye.